I am so excited for today's guest, Kevin. And after hitting his goal of a six-figure income, Kevin realized that there had to be more. He had the car, he had the money, the typical American dream. It took getting it all to realize what matters most is your thoughts. And that's how Next Level University was born. And I am very excited to have this conversation because Kevin is such a kind soul, very knowledgeable, that shares all of his wisdom of achieving success and being authentic.
When I was 25, this was right after that time where I told my girlfriend I was having some dark thoughts. I started going to therapy. We ended up moving in together. We got our own place and we moved in together. And if you were to look at me at that point, I was competing in a bodybuilding show. So I was quite literally in the best shape I've ever been slash will ever be. I was unhealthily lean. I had a sports car. I was making anywhere from $60 to $120 an hour at my job. My girlfriend at the time was a model. I had all of it: health, wealth, life, and love. It all looked amazing. My girlfriend ended up leaving me later that year. And when she left me, I had that moment of, am I broken? Who's going to love me? How do I fix myself? What is happening? How did I get here? How did I get to where I am today? That for me was my initial rock bottom.
Welcome to the Mindful Introvert podcast. I'm Joe, your guide from mindfulintrovert.com, on a mission to inspire and empower you. As an inner peace and abundance coach, I'll help you slow down, trust your intuition, and explore spirituality for a more peaceful life. Ready to be empowered? Let's dive into today's episode and embark on your journey to self-discovery and fulfillment. Hello, welcome back to the Mindful Introvert podcast. And we are here with another amazing guest. I have with me Kevin Palmieri. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us. You want to share a little bit about yourself and who you are to our lovely listeners?
Yeah. So, first of all, Joe, thank you so very much for having me. I appreciate it. Today, I am the host and the founder of Next Level University, a global top 100 podcast with 1,635 episodes or something
Woohoo.
as of today. And I get to podcast every day, which at one point was a dream. But I'm somebody who has really struggled with mental health in the past. I've had suicidal ideations many times in my life. And honestly, I never really expected to be where I am today. I think a lot of people accomplish something and then everybody assumes that was the plan forever. I sometimes have to pinch myself because I don't really know how I got here. I still have imposter syndrome some days. I have bad days, and I'm just a regular human who's out here trying to do it.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear that you feel the imposter syndrome even with all the success you have. So that's
Mm.
very refreshing.
I
Thank
think
you
it's
for.
important. I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that vulnerability is what makes you a human being. So that's very refreshing. Absolutely. So how do you mentioned some mental health issues, and so
Mm.
how did you overcome them? How was your journey with that?
The first time I ever really understood that I was having some sort of mental health issues, I was home alone one day. I lived with my girlfriend and we lived with another couple in Boston, Massachusetts. And I was probably 20, I don't know, 25 maybe. I was home from work that day and I remember I got to the end of the day and I had this thought where I said, if this is what life is, I don't really want to do it. It's so dark, it's so gray. Every day seems the same. I'm not excited about anything. I don't really like who I am. I don't really think I want to do this anymore. And when my girlfriend got home that day, I explained it to her. I said, this is how I felt. And she said, I really think you should go to therapy. I think it would be helpful. And I said, nah, no, don't need it. I don't need therapy. I'm strong. I don't need it. I'm good. Everything's gonna be fine. This will just blow over. And then after a couple more conversations, I ended up saying, you know what? Yeah, maybe this therapy thing is a good thing to pursue. So for me, one of the first things I did was I went to therapy and I shared the way I was feeling and I shared what I was afraid of and I shared my past. And through therapy, it allowed me to understand myself at a deeper level. Oh, for most of my life, I was just mad at the fact that my dad left and I didn't know my dad and I didn't meet my dad until I was 27. I didn't understand how much that was affecting my self worth. I didn't understand how much that was affecting my self belief. I didn't understand how much that was affecting how much significance I get from trying to get men to be okay with me. Like I didn't realize how much that was important to me. So therapy was a really big thing for me. And then honestly, the other thing was just self-improvement. Just trying to get better and trying to learn more about me and trying to become more competent and confident. And that's really been the journey for the last 7 years is get to know myself at a deeper level, try to improve myself just a little bit, and then try to get to know that version. And then just rinse and repeat that a little bit every day. And 7 years later, things look a lot different in a lot of ways, and they are very same in other ways.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great. Thank you for sharing
Of
that
course.
because, yeah, that self-awareness and really discovering who you are so important. And I appreciate when you say that you felt like you were strong and you didn't want to do therapy initially, but those two are not connected, right? You then realize that you can be strong and you can benefit from therapy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So why would you say that self-awareness is so important to you?
It's really hard to improve something you don't understand. When my car breaks down, I take it to a mechanic because I don't have any automotive awareness. I
Mm,
don't really know. I know I push the button and the car starts, and that's cool. I like that. That's good. But if you said get under the car and tell me why that happens, I can't. It's very hard to influence something that you're not aware of.
yeah.
And you are the vessel with which you are going to exist for the rest of your life, however long that is. I hope hopefully it's long and prosperous. But if you don't understand why you're comfortable around certain people, if you don't understand why you get triggered by certain things, if you don't understand why you're attracted to certain things, it's really hard to improve.
Mm,
One of the realizations that I've had that has been one of the most challenging is for most of my life, I probably looked very confident.
mm,
From the outside looking in, I'm a bodybuilder. I have tattoos. I've had nice cars. I've looked very successful. Internally, I was wildly insecure, wildly insecure. And I think that's one of the reasons I tried to get in as good a shape as I could because if I look good without my shirt on, nobody's going to think I'm insecure about anything.
mm,
Right? That's one of people's biggest insecurities. Let me go, make that one my strongest. But going through this journey, I've realized that when somebody is smarter than me, I used to get so insecure by that. And then my natural tendency would be to villainize them. Oh, they're arrogant. Oh, they're cocky. Oh, they must look down on people like me. When in reality, it wasn't a them problem, it was a me problem.
mm-hmm,
So that self-awareness allows you to understand that sometimes the way you're feeling is because something you're looking at, somebody you're comparing to is triggering you because maybe you just don't feel enough yet, or you don't feel smart enough, good enough, brave enough, whatever it is, successful enough. And then it allows you to take a step back and say, is this a me thing or is this a them thing? And if it's a you thing, self awareness then helps you get to the root of what that problem is and then work through it. I think self awareness is everything. I really do. I think it's so
mm.
important for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you said about that triggering. So other people triggering you and trigger those insecurities and that villainizing them. Obviously, initially when there is no self-awareness, that's what happened, right? But then once you recognize and how you did it, that you can move the triggering aspect to more of a almost modeling in the sense of okay, they are like this, and if I recognize this in them, it means that I have a reference within myself. I've just chose to give a significance of like this is a trigger rather than this is a goal, this is something that I can work towards, this is something that I maybe not yet have recognized that I have within myself, being if I'm smart or not, I have not recognized or explored that. and I can now that I'm triggered. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that is very insightful.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that very much. Sometimes it allows us to just understand that we just haven't done the work necessary to get to where that person is.
Mm,
And I think that can be empowering. I'll never forget, this was such an important moment for me. My business partner and I were in California interviewing someone at their mansion.
mhm,
It was a beautiful house. We interviewed them in their movie theater at their house, and then we were out back having dinner with this person on their patio. There's a in-ground pool. It's beautiful. And after dinner, we start talking about business. And very quickly, Joe, I have that moment where I say, I am in over my head here.
mhm,
And I wanted to villainize the people I was with. I wanted to villainize them so bad because if I villainize them, I don't have to look at myself. This is a them thing. They are terrible. They're terrible people. I don't have to worry about me. I'm going to be fine.
mhm,
But I didn't. I said, oh, interesting. I feel really insecure. Why? I had a conversation with my business partner later that night, and I said, you know what I realized in that conversation? I don't feel smart enough.
mm.
That's it. I feel like when I'm around people who are much smarter than me, it hurts me. It hurts my ego. And he said, Kev, what if you're not smart enough yet?
Yeah, it's very important.
Yet. And that was one of the pivotal moments for me because that's the day that I started learning every day. Every day from that day till today, I've learned something new, whether it's from a book or a YouTube video or whatever. We can use that discomfort. We can use that challenge at the ego level to do something different. But if we pass that off to somebody else's responsibility, and I say, well, it's Joe's fault. It's Joe's fault I got triggered. Then I don't have to do anything about it. And unfortunately, if I don't have to do anything about it, nothing's going to change. So yeah, to your point, sometimes our triggers are really good breakthroughs or good potential lessons as long as we take them and do something hopefully constructive with them.
Yeah, and that responsibility and accountability, self accountability is so, so important. And as you were talking about it, here I was thinking, looking at your, whoever is looking on the video, looking at your so professional and so nice setup, and looking at mine, I see it as this is like something to look up to, like I want to be more looking more professional looking, having the kind of success you have when podcasting. So do you think I would be thinking, oh, he's so much more advanced and successful than me, and look at me, look at my setup, whatever? No, I'm like, I'm excited to be in Kevin's presence. I'm excited for this conversation. I'm excited to learn the way he thinks, the way he acts, so that I can take that inspiration and adapt to my own reality. And that's what self-awareness already helps you with, is understanding that triggering and reframing it to something that can be beneficial. And yes, it takes responsibility, it takes self-accountability to think, okay, I am responsible for changing the course of my life. And you did that in your life as well. You hit rock bottom. I saw in your bio a very cool sentence that was, some people find rock bottom. I found out that rock bottom had a basement. Tell
Unfortunately,
me
Joe,
about that.
yeah. So when I was 25, this was right after that time where I told my girlfriend I was having some dark thoughts. I started going to therapy. We ended up moving in together. We got our own place and we moved in together. And if you were to look at me at that point, I was competing in a bodybuilding show. So I was quite literally in the best shape I've ever been slash will ever be. I was unhealthily lean. I had a sports car. I was making anywhere from $60 to $120 an hour at my job. My girlfriend at the time was a model. I had all of it: health, wealth, life, and love. It all looked amazing. My girlfriend ended up leaving me later that year. And when she left me, I had that moment of, am I broken? Who's going to love me? How do I fix myself? What is happening? How did I get here? How did I get to where I am today? That for me was my initial rock bottom. I'm lonely. I'm heartbroken. I live in this place all alone, and there's just nobody loves me. I convinced myself, because I wasn't very self aware at the time, that if I went and just made more money, most of these problems would just kind of drift off. I wouldn't have to worry about them. They'll
Mhm.
get fixed. Let's not worry about them. So the next year, I worked as much as I could. I grinded my face off, and I spent 10 months living on the road because a lot of our jobs were in other states. So I did something similar to constructions, the best way to put it. We get to the end of that year. I opened my final pay stub, and my goal was to make $100,000 at 26 with no college degree. And I did. I ended up making that money. But I had that realization that nothing internally changed.
Mm.
The bank account was good. I felt very abundant financially. I was still insecure. I was still not confident. I was still afraid of my own shadow. That didn't change. So after that, I ended up starting a podcast in 2017 called the Hyper Conscious Podcast. That's why I'm so big on awareness. Hyper conscious is acutely aware. You know everything about yourself. I fell in love with podcasting as I fell out of love with my job. I've made it to the top of this job. I am not willing to travel for another year. I want to do this podcasting thing. I love this podcasting thing. I want to do more of it. So I start calling out of work. I start leaving the job site early. I start showing up late. I am just not a good employee anymore because I just don't care. And eventually, my rock bottom basement moment, I was 6 hours away from home in a hotel because we were working on the road that week. My alarm clock went off at 5:15 or 5:30. I sat up. I slid to the edge of the bed. I was lacing up my work boots. And the best way to explain it is that morning, it was like there was 10 televisions on in my head at the same time,
Mm.
and every single one was on a different station.
Mm.
One saying you're stuck here forever. You didn't have a plan A. You didn't have a plan B. This was plan C. I don't think they make plan Ds. So this
Mm.
is it. This is all you have. If you ever worked up the courage or stupidity to leave this job, what would your friends think? You make more money than any of your friends. What would your family think? You make more money than anybody in your family. And do you really think you're going to be a podcaster? That's what we're going to do. We're going to go all in on the podcast. And that was the rock bottom moment for me, Joe. In that moment, I thought to myself, well, if I just take my life, I'll just take all my problems with me and I won't have to worry about any of this. And I ended up texting a very good friend of mine who's now my business partner and the co-host of our podcast. And I told him what was going on, and he gave me some really good redirects and some really good advice. And then I ended up leaving that job 3 or 4 months later and then going all in on what we're doing today. But that was my rock bottom to finding out rock bottom has a basement to then saying, well, it's time for me to crawl out of the basement.
Yeah, no, that is a lot.
It is. It
That is
is.
a lot, but I'm glad you went through it and you came out stronger. But sometimes it is that leverage and that pain and that rock bottom that takes us to higher grounds because is learning that we can do it and trust ourselves that we will go through it because we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned how on the outside everything you felt very confident or you seemed very confident, your
Mm.
life appeared good to the naked eye. So how would you say you've began this journey of becoming confident and releasing some insecurities within?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the only way to really be confident is to do things you're not confident doing so you can kind of get those experiences under your belt.
Mm,
I I'm a more confident speaker than I was before I did my first speech, but I'm still not as confident speaking on stage as I am on a podcast.
yeah.
I have 2,200 reps in front of this microphone. I have like, I don't know, maybe 100 speeches, all things considered. So I just have way more reps in this. For a lot of us, I think confidence is connected to competence and certainty.
Mhm.
How confident are we that our internet is going to be able to hold up for this interview? Well, it always does. It's never not, I mean, it's never kicked me off before. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm so confident in it. But that confidence is usually connected to certainty. The only way to increase certainty is to walk through uncertainty and make uncertain things a little bit more certain. So for me, it's been constantly, and I used to track the number of things I did. It's constantly what I call fear chasing, doing
Mhm.
something that scares me that I'm not super confident doing, and then making sure, and this is an important piece that I don't think I would be here if I didn't do, making sure I gave myself credit for that. Oh, I had that interview with Joe today. Nice. Yeah, yeah. I was out of my comfort zone. Okay, cool. Oh, I did that coaching call I didn't think I was ready for. All right, cool. I sent this message, I sent this email, whatever. The way that's really worked for me is to say, well, these are the things that I'm really scared of. What's like 1% of them that I can do?
Mm.
Not I'm afraid to speak, let me get on stage. Maybe it's I'm afraid to speak, let me record a voice note to myself. And then let me record a voice note to somebody else that really is close to me and I trust. And then maybe let me put it on Instagram eventually. And then eventually you get to the point where you become a speaker. That has really been a very important thing for me. And then another thing that kind of ties to that, that doesn't seem like it connects, but I think it connects more than I ever really thought. I had really low self worth.
Mm.
I didn't value myself very much. I didn't really value my boundaries. I didn't value the way, or I didn't really focus on the way people treated me because I didn't think I was worthy of being treated well anyway.
Mm.
That's another thing that I've really tried to work on over the last 7 years to say, well, I deserve this and I should say yes to things I want to do and I should say no to things that I don't want to do and I should stand up for myself and I should set boundaries. So that's also been a very important thing because it's not just self-belief, it's self-belief and self-worth and how those two kind of mesh together to make you the human that you are.
Yeah, wow, so much to unpack there, but that was great. And I feel like some key aspects that I got from what you mentioned was it's almost like that reinforcing the good behavior of you getting outside of your comfort zone and taking small steps, 1%, like James Clear is always
Yes.
mentioning, and 1% improvements, and keep doing it, doing with fear and all, because sometimes people think, oh, being courageous is without fear. No, you do it with fear. And keep practicing it, and little by little you'll become more confident. And I always like giving the example of driving, because when I started to drive, it was terrible having to, and especially I drive a manual car, so it was just crazy. And it's so much to think about, and now I drive almost not with my eyes closed, but almost. So it's interesting that the more we do it and the more we become comfortable. I think confidence is also about comfortable and being comfortable, and that sense of certainty that you were mentioning, absolutely very nicely linked to confidence.
Mm,
So that was just great. Yeah, very very good to hear your thoughts on that. And
thank you.
yeah. And so we mentioned about some of the struggles you've been through and the whole basement, rock bottom, having a basement. But what would you say? How can people succeed without having had this leverage in their life that pushes them to do better? How can just maybe they've lived a okay, neutral life, they
Mm.
didn't have many issues in their life, and they just want to succeed? What would you say to these people?
Yeah, I would say set a goal that matters deeply. A goal that isn't just about the goal. It's not, I want to make X amount of dollars. Why? Do you want to take care of your family? Do you want to have success so you don't have to worry about things? Do you want freedom? I think a lot of us have been told to set these massive goals that we actually
Mhm.
don't believe we're going to accomplish. So I might suggest, depending on where you are in your terms of self belief, the level of self belief you have, maybe set a smaller goal,
Mhm.
a goal that you believe that you can accomplish with 90% of yourself. And then when you accomplish that goal, you set another goal. If in the
Yeah.
beginning, my goal was to do 1,600 podcast episodes, there's no way. No way. No, 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 no. In the beginning, my goal was literally I need to make enough money to make it to the end of the week. And then I need to make enough money to make it to the end of the month. Those were my goals in the beginning because I was just trying to survive. A lot of us have been convinced if your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. When in reality, being a human being is very scary. And having to pay your bills is very scary. And having tough conversations with your intimate partner or your children or your family, very scary. I would say set goals that help you feel expansive, that are in alignment with what you ultimately want, obviously, but the goals that you actually believe you are able to accomplish. And I think that's motivational and I think that's inspirational because I think a lot of us are more successful when we're running towards something we desire, not away from something we don't.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, I would say that set smaller goals that you actually believe you can accomplish. And when you accomplish them, you'll have more confidence to set goals next time. And then if
Yeah.
you keep that process up, you'll be the most quote unquote successful version of yourself, whatever successful means to you.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I get when people say about the fear and about like, oh, set goals that scare you. And I think it is still possible to have those goals, but like a big picture goal type of thing. And
Mm.
then under that umbrella, you create smaller goals, baby steps that you feel more and more comfortable. I like to break it down so much so that it needs to be something that you can do within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not something that you're not confident, you're not comfortable, you don't believe you can do it within the next 24 hours, break it down into smaller bits. So that's how I like to think.
Yeah.
And I also like to put it 1 week goal. So 24 hours, 1 week goal. And then if you work 1 week at a time, you'll get there. It
Mm.
doesn't matter if you're getting there faster or slower than your neighbor. You're still getting it. And it's your own journey. So I feel like that's very good advice to just break it down into manageable pieces
I appreciate it.
and making it believable. It's the believability ladder.
Well,
Yeah.
it's hard if you don't believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you just got to find something that you can do and then give yourself credit for. Just when I was trying to become more confident, when I realized I don't really feel that confident, I want to become more confident. One
Mhm.
of the things I would do that just probably sounds comical to some people, I'm sure, when I'm at the grocery store and I'm walking down an aisle and somebody's walking towards me, my natural reaction is I want to put my head down and look away.
Mm.
I don't, it's weird. I don't want to look at this person. But what I try to do is I just try to make eye contact and smile. That might seem, maybe for you, that's like, Kev, that's the easiest thing ever. Awesome. You're probably more confident than the average person. That's great. But if you hear that and say, ooh, that would be a test for me, great. That's a great place to start. Then when you get there, start making small talk with the person that's checking you out at the counter. I love doing that. My goal is to try to make them laugh. But in the beginning, it wasn't. So it's
Yeah.
just sometimes what's small for other people is big for us, and what's big for us is small for other people. And it's just important to understand that.
Yeah, no, that is amazing advice, especially for a lot of people with social anxiety.
Mm.
I don't think I have social anxiety, but the more I work from home, the less I want to go out and the less I want to hang out with people. So I need
Yeah.
to force myself to be out and talking to people. And so what I have been feeling is that when I go to the grocery store, you know how they usually have the self checkouts thingies, and I try to consciously avoid those and actually go and speak to the person that is the cashier and just have a conversation just about the weather, usually in the UK. It's always about the weather. And so just have that conversation so I can, and I see life. I don't know if this makes sense to people, but I see life sometimes in those moments as if we are playing a game of Sims and we have the little bar, and I feel my social bar being in the red. And so I say, okay, he's in the red. I don't feel like bumping it up to green, but I kind of do, because if not, everything will start to go down. Everything will start to go red. So here we go. Let's bump it up to green. So that's how I visually see that I need to be social and I need to have those interactions, that I need to be outside of my comfort zone. So I think that is a good start for someone that it doesn't come natural to them to interact with other human beings.
That's a great analogy. Anytime you can drop a Sims analogy in there, that is a win for sure. Mhm.
Yeah, and the same when I don't go to the gym. Like today, I'm already like, I need to go to the gym. The minute we finish this interview, I am going to go to the gym because it's starting to go red. I'm like, okay, it's starting to go red. Let's
Yeah.
go get it green. So yeah, just have that self-awareness of when is it starting to go red? How can I make it green? What are some little things, small things that make it yellow initially? It doesn't have to
Mm.
be red to green. No, make it yellow.
Or maybe less red.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
let's
red to
red.
less red to orange to yellow to green 100%.
Yeah, so that's really cool that we were able to come up with this analogy. So what would you say, considering you've done more than 1600 episodes, what have you learned so far?
Oh man, I've learned so much. Probably the biggest thing is from day to day, progress is invisible.
Mm,
I'm gonna do, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes today, and I'll be no better this afternoon than I am right now. But from year to year, progress is impossible to miss. And I just think a lot of us do something, just it's not a long enough period of time and we don't see results, and then we just can it and we say, well, I'm not going to do it, it's not worth it. But if you stuck with it, who knows what would have happened. It's like, Joe, the first time you drove, if you said, this isn't for me, you're not going to be able to drive. It's just not going to work. But since there's social pressure, and since if you want to work somewhere else, you're going to have to be able to drive, you push your way through that discomfort and you figure out how to do it. That's been a really important lesson for me. Nothing really changes day to day.
mm-hmm,
I started dieting a couple weeks ago. The first week I gained weight.
mm,
So if I'm thinking to myself, well, this isn't going to work, I'm going to get rid of this now, I never would have got to the point where it actually started to look like success.
yeah,
That measure what you're doing every day. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
I did this, I fear chased, I went to the gym, I tracked my finances, my partner and I had a deep conversation. Awesome. But it's not really going to change anything until you stack your days into weeks, months, and years. That would probably be the biggest thing I've
mm-hmm,
learned. And then the other thing that really stuck out for me, we used to interview a lot of people. We don't do interviews anymore. But almost everybody has some level of an incredible story. It might not be rock bottom basement podcast success. That might not be it. It might be my family couldn't afford to feed us, so we used to eat canned corn for 4 years until my family found success. That's a story. Everybody has dealt with some level of adversity, to the point where I know people who have messaged me and say, I feel guilty because I don't have any adversity.
mm-hmm.
That's your adversity. You actually do have adversity. It's just not what you think. Don't feel like you're the only one. If you're struggling, if you're going through it, if you've been through it, don't feel like you're the only one, because everybody has some level of adversity that they're dealing with. Just the majority of people have no reason to share it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, no, that's very, very important point. And going back to what you said a little bit before about the consistency and keep at it and just stacking up all of those developments you have in life at the same time, doing a little bit of an introspection and looking back. I had a moment like this morning. I usually journal, but I do it so not sometimes it's a brain dump type of situation, but a lot of the times is for the future. Is for me
Mm.
to look back and say, "Oh, this was what I was doing and feeling and going through this day, or this was what I was manifesting at the time." And I randomly found a journal from 1 year ago. And I was going through the pros and cons of quitting my job, of doing exactly what I'm doing now, and all of the fears that I had, everything. And to look back and finding that today and say, you know what, I was brave enough to go through all of that. I quit my job. I am doing what I love. I am working with amazing clients. I am interviewing amazing guests for my podcast. And those fears are not there anymore. And they're not there because I dared to live a different life. I dared to make a different choice. I dared to face those fears and put them under my arms and say, okay, you're coming with me. And I consistently did that every single day, every single day. There were days I said, oh, I'm going to ask for my job back. What am I doing? Who do I think I am? And I just kept at it because I didn't burn all the bridges because, like you were saying, I had a plan A, B, C. I think I had the whole alphabet at this point. I had all the letters of plans. So I couldn't feel comfortable enough to completely burn my bridges. But those bridges, they started to burn themselves. They started to go away. And it was just another way for the universe to say, this is your path. You chose this path, keep going and just stick with it for long enough, be patient enough to reap the benefits.
Mm.
and they are coming now. And when I saw that I wrote last year, I was just like, oh my god, this is just so cool. So yeah, so that is.
I'm so happy for you. That's amazing. That's all amazing. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, and I like when you say that it doesn't have to be immense adversity. All people have an amazing story. That's why I have done the second season of the podcast being fully interviews with guests, because I want to showcase people's realities. And we've been having people from Mexico, from the US, so all over the world. And it's so impactful to know that at the end of the day, we kind of all feel the same way, sometimes of not feeling good enough. We're all on the same journey of self discovery, of self esteem, and self worth. So it's kind of all the same journey, being human beings. And we just need to be consistent and just going at it day by day with patience, with love and kindness for ourselves, for our journey, giving ourselves grace, and we'll get it. We'll get it. Absolutely.
Little by little. If Joe,
Yeah.
just in case it looked like I was staring off into space when you were doing your monologue, I must have jinxed us because your Wi-Fi was
I
doing something.
know. I
Okay,
saw that.
I just wanted to make sure because I know it's very hard because I don't know if you're telling a joke and I'm just sitting here like
I saw
I
that.
just
I
want to
saw
make
your
sure.
internet is unstable. I'm like, oh my God, Kevin, you're manifesting that
I
for us.
jinxed it. I
Do
jinxed it. That's
not
on
do
me.
that. No, we should be good. We should be good. So, just a little bit on consistency. How would you help, and especially with your dieting and with your fitness journey? I think that is a more of a physical manifestation of consistency and building
Yeah.
on that success, right? We can see physical results, but it's valid for everything in your life, I would say. So, what are some of the tips that you have? The people want to start something and want to keep going, create that consistency, can create that routine in their lives.
Yeah, the things you prioritize are the things you're going to get done. I know a lot of people say I don't have time, and honestly, I know some people say that's an excuse. I understand. Yeah, I don't some days I don't have time to do certain things because I prioritize other things over them. Maybe I'll prioritize getting 8 hours of sleep instead of doing an hour and a half workout.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
So understand what you're prioritizing is really the results you're going to get. That's just a an awareness thing. The best thing that I have seen in terms of how people can stay more consistent is just get as much built-in accountability as possible by your reference group.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a workout challenge, join a group or have a peak performance partner that you can text every day or you can go to the gym with. I would not have gotten to where I am in terms of the amount of episodes we've done if Alan, the co-host and the CEO of the business, wasn't there waiting for me, and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah.
So we will do more for others than we will do for ourselves. Find a way to get some extra accountability. I think that's super important. And then as you do it long enough, it starts to become part of your identity. Even
Yeah.
if you're in the process now of saying, I'm not consistent, it's not necessarily that you're not consistent. You're maybe
Mhm.
just not consistent with the things you should be doing.
Yeah. Or yet. You're not
Or
consistent
yet,
yet.
yes, very well said. If you go through the drive through every day, you're consistent. You're just not
Hmm.
consistent at what you want yet. So, but
Yeah.
the biggest thing that I've seen is build some sort of reference group where you can have accountability because when it gets hard, you don't want to let the team down. We on our team, we have a 22 person team. We all track our habits.
Hmm.
Everybody can see how Kevin is doing. Everybody has access to my dashboard. They can see if I'm doing all my habits, not from a place of shame, but I know other people are going to see the work that I'm doing. I want to make sure that the work that I'm doing showcases who I am as a human. And that's just a really good example of a positive, productive accountability.
Yeah. No, that's a very good example. Thank you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
sharing.
Of
And
course.
I feel like if people feel like they're lonely, they don't have friends, or they don't want to burden other people with their accountability, there are always strangers online. There are always Facebook groups that you can join.
Mm-hmm.
There are always apps that you can go on to create that connection and accountability with someone that is on the same path as you. So there are no excuses.
Yeah,
We're
there's a
really,
lot of people
yeah.
now. There's a lot of people to connect with for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we are getting to the end of our episode. I've been loving this conversation. I could be on and on and on, asking you more questions. But I really want the audience to be able to connect with you. And how can they connect and learn more from you?
Yeah, you can just head to the website. We have a website, nextleveluniverse.com. It has everything. It has the podcast. It has everything else that we do. But I usually suggest people just start with the podcast. It's free. We do an episode every day. Make sure you listen to all of Joe's episodes first. But if you're looking for more, we do an episode every
Yeah.
single day. It's called Next Level University.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. That was wonderful. And
Thank you.
it's so refreshing, especially hearing from a man. And maybe this is my my own thoughts that some men, I don't want to generalize, but some men tend to not be connected to their inner world as much as they are with their outer world. And so it's very refreshing to be hearing from a young man talking about these concepts, talking about personal development and self awareness and purpose. And it's just wonderful. Confidence outside, inside, everywhere. Your
I
whole
appreciate it.
holistic confidence. That's really, really refreshing. I really enjoyed our conversation. I'm really grateful that you came here on the podcast. Thank you.
Likewise, Joe, you're a wonderful host. You made me feel safe. You made me feel welcome. I appreciate the kind words more than you know. And I'm very excited for you and your success and your future. And I'm very happy for you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And everyone, I'll see you on the next episode. Bye. If you are fully committed to your growth, I invite you to book a free inner peace assessment call with me to create an action plan to manifest a life worth living with more inner peace and self love. For more inspiring content, follow me on Instagram at Coach Joanna Calado and subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Intuitive Being. I will leave everything in the show notes so that you do not miss a thing. I'll see you on the next episode, and until then, slow down and trust yourself.